Hi everyone, Amit here. Thanks for joining me again. And today, before we start going into the intermediate and more complex programming, I'm going to show you, well, basically provide you with another example of a very short program. This one is going to be a game, basically one that we're all familiar with, Sudoku. One of my favorites. I do spend quite some time with it. As I enjoy, it's just calming and it's like a meditation. Um, I would be surprised that anybody is not familiar with it or has never played it. So it's probably the world's most popular game, and or at least one of them. Um, this one being very short because going forward we will start getting into more complex programs, and as we get into added complexity, there is a different way of managing those more complex programs. For instance, if we take the most complex application of all, like not really, I mean, uh, operating systems aside, let's take a CAD example. So, computer assisted drafting, those are as complex as they come. And when you try and build something that is complex, I know that is one of the extreme examples, but when you try and build something that is complex, the the practice of prompts and using prompts to gradually and progressively improve your code or script in this case, because Python is a a scripting language. Um, it things will start falling apart because you cannot just layer and add layer upon layer of prompts in order to kind of move your in terms of adjusting your code and progressing with it until you get the desired outcomes. It's not going to work. It's gonna You're gonna start hitting some walls, and you're going to get frustrated very quickly. Now, when it comes to building applications, being, I would say, uh, sticking with the application, with the program itself, hanging in there um, is great, but you also don't want to get disappointed. And essentially, building apps that are a little more complex is an exercise in disappointment if you don't have a plan. So I'll show you what a plan looks like for more intermediate to complex applications. That's coming up in one of the, well, it's going to be in one of the upcoming um, episodes, and I'm going to dedicate that episode into explaining uh, the basically the build and how to go about building more complex apps. And it's going to start with same nature as drafting. It's going to start with a process, which will be a workflow, and we will go from the process to design, and then from design to basically a testing phase. So it's going to go prototyping, testing, and there's a logic to it. I will show you the logic, and it's actually quite simple to create more complex applications following that logic. So the game that I'm going to show you today, obviously, you know, it's Sudoku, but what I want to start with is kind of show you a bit the programming part of it, the code first, or actually, I should say the script, because well, being the scripting language, the the idea here is I just want to show you the script in order for you to kind of guess what the functions of this script do. So perhaps you can already kind of have an idea this might look like. And I think that would probably be part of the fun here as to when I show you the finished product, is it what you thought it was? Basically, just looking at the code. So let's have a little fun here, and then I'll show you the finished product. And there's um, one thing that I want to also expose you to today, and that is, um, well, actually, I don't want to give it away, but is a fun way to design games, especially board games, and provide some nice functionality to your users. So, without further ado, let us jump right into it. And again, it will be the last of our very simple series of games, or um, also called vibe, uh, vibe coding or vibe scripting, whatever you want to call it. And so let me show you. And please do subscribe so you could get updated with my new episodes. And let's just jump straight into it.
All right, so I have the code right here. As usual, I'm going to put a link to my GitHub page, and you're going to have the link to the code, uh, the uh, as well as the optimal prompt that was used for this. And you could just go ahead and play around, make it your own. Basically, just I do encourage you to make changes to the code as you see fit. I'm going to show you the code here. The first thing is, as you can see, I've set up the virtual environment for this project. You could always compile it and create the executable, put that on your desktop. So what do we have at the top here? Now, before I go ahead and run this, the let's go over and, as I mentioned, see if you can kind of imagine what this would look like. So we have our libraries. Tkinter is basically the graphical user interface library because everything that we build is basically a graphical user interface. And the interface is essentially made up of functions that uh, not only functions that are visible to the user, but there are the backend function of things, because that is what makes a application holistic, which is for instance, hovering over a function and seeing an explanation as to what that function does. So those are kind of one of the many methods or the functionalities of applications, of visually um, interactive applications. So here are the libraries. So tkinter, our usual one. In this case, we have Pillow, which is one of the imaging libraries. Um, we have random, which is to basically generate random objects. So essentially like random numbers, random names, and so on. You could just hover over and get an explanation. So we initialize here the essentially the self. And so we have our parameters. Now there's a level called easy. So we could see that there's some functionality for levels. So how difficult will this game be? So we could see that the user can adjust the difficult, the level of difficulty. So we have easy, we have medium, and if we scroll down, um, so for the difficulty, we have easy, we have medium, and we have one that is going to be more challenging. Now, we have the size of the boards, and they are essentially 9 by 9. We have the levels, and you'll see else. So it's easy, medium, else it will be even more difficult if it isn't easy or medium. The else will remove 55 of the squares that are otherwise populated. And we have some JPEG files. In terms of JPEG files, we have these three files. So one of them is named pic.jpg, pic2.jpg, pic3.jpg. And of course, we've renamed them. So one is called forest, another aquarium, and we have the alien world. Now, one at this point, what would you think that this might look like? Well, if you're thinking some background images, you're right. That's exactly what we're going to be getting here. Is this will generate some background images in order to just give it a more pleasant feel for the users when they engage with the game. We have the layout. So in the layout, we have lots of padding. We have widths. We have things like mainframe, left, the text, text names, um, difficulty levels. So here are the difficulty levels: easy, medium, and challenging. Now we don't have challenging here in the in our generate puzzle functionality. We have easy and medium, but the else, so if it's not easy and if it's not medium, the else is going to be the equivalent of challenging. But we don't necessarily need to name it there. It's named here in this part, which is the actual part of the layout. Um, what else do we have? So we have fonts, bold, we have colors. You could change those and see what you get when you run the app. There's a congratulations, you solved the puzzle at the end. Now, one cool thing is that we have some colors and it works with a parameter called fill, and the color is it's set up as a string, but you could actually change it. And this is something that is really cool uh, about Python is that you could actually include these colors and just change them within the script part of things, which makes it easier than having to look up the what the exact color name is and having to just update the color by name. So same thing for green here. We could just pick on green and it's just gonna change it. Now, what do you think that the red and green is? And if you're guessing whether this has something to do with hint, you're absolutely right because this is our functionality for hint. So there is where the user can get a hint and see if the values that they've entered inside the squares are if those are true or if those are false. So that's going to provide uh, this added functionality to guide the user. Now you can see that this is actually a very short program. Let me just scroll through this very quickly. So it is super short. And the one thing that I encourage you to do, besides just playing around with, let's say, fonts or sizes, is go here, go go here. The JPEG files, add some more JPEG files into your folder. So that is the folder which becomes your project. So add some additional JPEG files and see what happens. Basically, when you use the drop down functionality to choose backgrounds. So if you're ready, let me run this and let's see what we get. Here we go. So this is our Sudoku game. So this is our alien world by default. And we can use the drop down to change it to aquarium. We could use the drop down to change it to forest. I'm a fan of the alien world. Um, so these are the difficulty levels. So right now we are at easy, but see what happens if we go to challenging. So 2 levels up and we will get a lot less squares. So new game, and here we go. We have a lot less squares that are populated with numbers, and it just got a little harder. If we go back to easy and new game, and we could see every time we choose new game, it just generates automatically new uh, a new perspective. So it just repopulates um, and does it with basically random by randomizing things. Um, so we've got 9784. Let's see if we put 1 here. Actually, we have already got 1. We've got 875 there. So let's try 3 and hint. Yep. So let's see if we solve it. Is 3 part of that? And we solved it, and yes, 3 is part of there. And there you go. There you have it. So basically, a nice, fun Sudoku game that you could just spend a lot of time uh, working on, well, having fun with, but also working on improving it. If you don't like the gray separators here, you could go ahead and just change it to yellow, to white, um, whatever you'd like. You could make this bigger. You could add additional functionalities as there's some other capabilities for the Sudoku, especially the one that we get to fill in by hand, like the basically just having the draft numbers at the top that we can use as placeholders. Yeah, just I hope you have fun with it and that you do explore it and um, just make changes and enjoy this journey. So that's pretty much it for me. Please don't forget I to essentially subscribe. That way you'll catch up to my latest episodes. And if you can like, I would really appreciate it. That's it for now. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.